good evening, good morning, good night, you lovelies. It is the one, the only Cappy D. Barrow. We are here for a review for One Piece chapter 1158. This chapter left me with a lot of questions, things that I think are going to really shape the rest of this arc. The cover story for this chapter, Yamato, we see that the gravesite that she visited last chapter was none other than the one of Gecko Moria, meaning that Gecko Moria was a pirate who, he gave his life trying to defeat Kaido, which is such a crazy. It's crazy because I think we all assumed that Gecko Moria was still out there somewhere. After Marineford, Gecko Moria, he fled to the New World. In the New World, right, he went to Hachinosu and he tried to get some answers from Blackbeard, and this led to Moria being imprisoned and impelled down. So I'm having trouble figuring out when he died, but it does say that this is a hero of Wano. He fought Kaido, died protecting Wano, and I am really thrown for a loop. I'm really thrown for a loop on the timeline here because we know he escaped impelled down. We know he escaped impelled down to get to Marineford. I think I might have misspoke. I don't believe he was in the impelled down. I think he was only at Marineford as a warlord. But what I'm really trying to get to is, when would he have had time to die? Because, right? Okay. We're gonna put a pin in that. We're gonna put a pin in that. But it does say that we are at the gravesite of one Gecko Moria. And it's also said that his first name is Kozuki. Kozuki, meaning that he is possibly able to read the poneglyphs, which is something that would be coming into, hypothetically, his seraphim. I imagine his seraphim would also, by that same string of logic, would also know how to read the poneglyphs. First couple of pages, we see Roger on the ship. He's with Rayleigh and Gabon and everybody, and there is an entire sequence, right, where the pirates are saying, hey, Shaki, we all gotta go check out Shaki. She's on Hachinosu. We gotta go see her, right? And Roger, he seems a little perturbed, and Rayleigh and Gabon are having a conversation, reflecting on a conversation that Rayleigh and Roger had in private, where we learn that Shaki is overcome with love sickness, and she has officially chose to make Rayleigh her betrothed. Rayleigh isn't really too big on being tied down, as we see how he acts during the Sabaody arc. But we really do get to experience the firsthand kind of world building that this universe, has been giving to us over the past couple of 20 years. The word of Shaki being on Hachinosu spread surprisingly quickly, right? Surprisingly quickly, as it's surprising because we don't know if Morgans is around yet. Morgans is supposed to appear after God Valley. This God Valley was apparently Morgan's big break. So I don't know who's leaking this information and who's distributing this to the entire world, but everybody knows of Shaki, and we're going to see later from all four blues are going to be trying to reach Shaki just to get a smile, right? Roger, he makes a statement that treasure is to be plundered, and if that's the case, then they need to go after Shaki. I thought that was kind of interesting, because we did get last chapter Rocks also saying, he said that they need to plunder everything and crash out on their enemies, right? And this is the same kind of premise that Roger carries to Shaki, for her being a treasure. I think it's just a really interesting parallel also between Rocks and Roger, just how they both consider treasure to not be, it's not a debatable thing. Once they want something, they set their eyes to it, and that's it, right? I think that's really conqueror's energy right there from both of them. Next page, we see Holy Knight Saint Firlin Garling, a lot younger years. He has the big moon crescent thing going on, and it's off screen who he's discussing something with, but they are trying to establish, I believe it's the Celestial Dragon, their next hunting tournament, for the slaves, and they decide that the next location has to be God Valley. He says once the Great One makes this discovery on what is of God Valley, there will be no reason to go anywhere else, right? So apparently something really big is supposed to be going on with God Valley. I think honestly God Valley might tie in to all of what's going on with Raftail. I think kind of like a space, like a time out of space kind of situation. I genuinely think that's what we're going to be getting. There's just a lot of build towards God Valley, and knowing that this is where this is going to be ending, as we're going to get told later. It's really interesting stuff going forward. Also kind of interesting, Fig Garland calls Emu the Great One, which is just, what the fuck is that? Like, what the fuck is that? So it's interesting to see that the celestial dragons do have some idea of what Emu is, and it's kind of just like God, like if you were to ask the celestial dragons like who God is, the celestial dragons would probably answer the Great One, kind of referring to Emu. That's really fucking interesting. Next page, we see a line outside of Shaki's door. She is very popular. She's very we see a line out of Shaki's doors, practically wrapping around the block, and everyone's just trying to get a look into the eyes of Shaki, right? She's in there, she's smoking cigarettes, she's overcharging people for like watered down liquor, and everyone's just like, "We love you, Shaki! Hip hip hooray!" Bro, it's so fucking funny, bro. Just thoughts, man. They're thoughting up for Shaki, and you know what? I get it. You know what I mean? Listen, Shaki, she looks amazing in this chapter, so I think it's understandable to have a kind of very over-the-top reaction when you see something like that. You've been sailing the 7 seas, get your fucking ass handed to you by Garp and Rocks for the past couple of months. Next to him, we see Roger show up. Roger, him and the rest of the pirates, they blew through the front line, right? And they storm in. They're like, "Shaki, we love you, Shaki. Oh my God." Roger is thirsty as fuck, bro. Thirsty as hell. No decorum, no shame whatsoever, bro. He busts through there. He's like, "Shaki, we love you, Shaki. Oh my God." And immediately, Rocks faces off with Roger. This is the shit we've been asking for so fucking long, man. I'm so fucking happy that we're getting it, bro. They have a whole face off. Shaki has formed into this Cleopatra-esque figure where she is just the epitome of beauty, right? She is the epitome of beauty. Rarely is not here, and Shaki's first question when she sees Roger, is, "Hey, Roger, so good to see you. Where's Rayleigh? Like, where is Rayleigh? Like, why are you here? Why are you here?" Roger doesn't have an amazing answer for this. He's like, "Oh man, he just felt sick. He didn't want to come." But this is really dubbing her. He did say earlier he didn't want to be tied down, and now he has to kind of get tied down somehow, some way to Shaki, and he's not fucking with it, bro. He's not on board. There is a moment where Shaki gets interrupted with her conversations from Roger, right? As Gloriosa spurs into action, right? She lunches on Roger. Roger says, "Hey, I'm not interested in you, Gloriosa." Basically, they do a version of like the "beat it, chick. Why do the good girls always go for the..." That's basically what they went for, bro. Shaki is dubbing Roger, and Roger is dubbing Gloriosa, right? And while all this is happening, this is all because Rayleigh is dubbing Shaki. It's really kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie. After this news, we do see that Rocks and after this, we do see that Rocks is no longer interested in Shaki, whatsoever. And Shaki makes a comment of this, like, "Oh man, Rocks, I can obviously let that smile isn't for me." And at first I thought Rocks was smiling because he seen Roger walk in and he was just like a nut job. Like he's like, "Oh, my ops is here. I can crash out now." But we actually kind of get a thought bubble from Whitebeard where he explains that he looks like he's expecting a child. So we are probably going to see the birth of Teach very soon. Ironic, because the end of this chapter, we are going to see the birth of some other people. Very, very fucking crazy. We're going to be getting to those circumstances later. We get this beautiful panel between Rocks and Roger. They established that, all pirates, even the most toughest of the tough, are allowed a safe passage to see Shaki, from all 4 seas, right? But the second they get back on the seas, it's up and it's smoke. And we get this really beautiful back-to-back panel from Roger and Rocks. I'm just really loving the artwork of everything that we're getting from Odaaa so far. I'm super grateful for it. Apparently, we're supposed to be on a bit of a hiatus after this. So again, there will not be any videos, unfortunately. But, if you guys want to keep a conversation going, definitely tap into that if you guys are interested. But I'm saying all this to say that art for what we've been getting in the lore, the world building has just been fucking phenomenal. Hands down, probably one of the best backstories we've gotten. Next, we see that Harold is boxing with Rocks. Like we see Haruden, we see Loki kind of hanging on for dear life as everything's clashing around them. They're in the primordial realm, and Rocks and Harold are like really hooking off on each other. We see blood coming out of Harold's mouth. Rock seems heavily exhausted, very scratched up, and like these two are throwing bows, man. Like it caught me off guard, but then you come to realize that Harold accepted the deal from the Gorosei. The idea that, I take you out and I'm a part of the world government now and I can just live in prosperity, like that is something Harold has been fighting for ever since he met Ida. The effort that is being put into this story and this character of Harold and this kind of this timeline of redemption that we've been on with him has been so beautiful and so well put together. And at times I found myself rooting for both of these guys. Harold saying like, yo, the giants are just going to become slaves, just kind of become warriors, like we seen with Omo and Kashi, right? Like we've seen that there's a point where the government will just turn them into just sentient dogs, essentially, that can just raise the land. It is insane that we're getting these conversations right now, especially with everything going on in the world. Harold is telling Rocks, like, you don't understand the pain and the conflict that I've put onto people just from being a giant, right? And the pain and the conflict that other giants have put onto other islands. The world can't continue and my people can't continue in this place of stagnation, right? We're stagnant. And there's a really crazy shot where Rocks, he sends a strike, and it like, I'm not sure how this doesn't kill Harold. It makes like a circle in his stomach, and I think we see like a chunk of him fly out, and it's like, fuck, dude. Like, I don't know what's happening right now. That in mind, these panels are insane. Like absolutely crazy. After we kind of just get like a breakup, like like the unlikely alliance, the BFFs, they break up, and it is crazy because we were speaking about the kind of the maturation of this relationship and how it has grown from Harold being like, you're a criminal, I want nothing to do with you, to them like sharing sake and having conversations about like the world around them, and how they're right back at square one. And it's like, it is such a fucking disappointing place to see, because if Rocks was to envelop himself into like the flag of Elbaf or vice versa, right, that force is unstoppable. It's unstoppable. Literally, the giants plus the Rocks pirates just trying to take on the world government, heading for Emu. Oh man, fuck, we could have got that, man. We could have got that. We are actually going to end up this chapter, surprisingly though, getting a bit of a foreshadowing. It says that Harold and Rocks would not cross paths again until a couple of years later, decades really, but a couple of years later at God Valley. And we see that on the shores of God Valley, or somewhere around here, a woman whose face is not disclosed at the moment, who's undisclosed at the moment, has a stroller. Before this, we see Loki on the shores waiting for Rocks to return, something that he never did, being that Loki's waiting for his uncle, right? And that's kind of the relationship that we get between Rocks and Loki. Like, they're like more uncle and nephew than we really imagined, because if you want to call Harold kind of like a brother to Rocks, or at least like a kind of distant cousin or whatever, it's a little messy. But after we see Loki just on the shores waiting for Rocks, we see this woman, and she is standing there, and she's back turned, obviously, and she has a massive stroller. And I shit you not, I think we see at least 4 CP9, like CP0 agents, either CP9 or CP0, and they're just standing around her. And at first I was like, why the fuck is CP9 here? But then I remembered that this is the baby mama, if you would, of a celestial, of a holy knight there. And it's just insane that Shanks was born around CP9 agents. And it's like, I wonder if he knows that. I wonder how deep in the world government trenches his name really is. Like, the Rat Agenda is strong. The Rat Agenda is strong. And then it's interesting because he looks the exact same he does inside the treasure chest. And I'm wondering, how did he end up in the treasure chest? That is quite odd, isn't it? Because he looks the exact same he did when Roger's crew found him. And I believe that was chapter 980, something like that. We seen the discovery of Shanks on the shores of God Valley. I do not know how he got from there to there. We also see Shamrock also, and I'm curious, was Shamrock in a case? Like, was Shamrock kind of locked away also on God Valley? Maybe he didn't get found. A lot of questions going into this, man. A lot of questions. But all in all, man, this is a really, really good chapter. Only thing I kind of have a small issue with is Roger kind of being like, yo, we're just gonna pick up this girl who don't want to get picked up. Like, that was a little crazy, bro. That was a little crazy. Also, Rayleigh not jumping on Jackie, like when it's right there, bro, kind of selling, not gonna lie. But this is a really good chapter. Solid 8 out of 10 for me. I'm really looking forward to what else we can get. The lore and the world building, and this was beautiful. And I have a lot of things I'm going to be thinking about for the next couple of weeks. And maybe I'll drop a video or two of them. You know, if you guys are interested in that, let me know. You know, it's been your boy Cappy D Barra. All right, y'all stay tuned and stay beautiful. Peace, y'all.